Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Channeled Writing Workshop. My name is Tiffany. I'm going to be your guide today. There's a part of me that's like, I'm going to be your teacher today, and yet I'm not the teacher. You are going to experience that which you need to experience. I have opened up an energetic container for us to all come and play within, and my hope is that you receive exactly what you need, and that instruction may not come through me. It may come through your heart. It may come through your connection to spirit. It may come through your journal. I don't know. We'll see today. So for those of you, bear with me, I'm letting people in as they're coming in here. For those of you who are new to me, I have been a spiritual teacher and intuitive healer for a couple of years now. I was not one of those people who came into this world woke. For lack of a better world. I didn't have imaginary friends as children and like these special gifts or connections to plants and animals. I was super logical, to be completely honest. I was super heady. I followed the path that you were supposed to take. I went to college, did the whole thing, white picket fence. And yet in 2012, my world was flipped upside down. I went through a spiritual awakening, moved across the country to a city where I knew nobody, because that's where I just thought I was supposed to be, started meeting really magical and awesome people. And now here I am teaching intuition and spiritual gift development. I was a CPA for most of my life. I did numbers, accounting. I was really conditioned well. I forgot who I was, drank from the Kool-Aid, corporate Kool-Aid, the whole bit. And yet here I am teaching you something that I do every single day. And I love this practice with all my heart. And I'm so excited that so many of you are here today to experience this with me. And maybe this changes things for you. Maybe this becomes part of your daily practice, or maybe this is just like the thing that you try every once in a while, and that's cool too. But the reason I share this story with you is because I want you to know everyone can do this. Everyone can do this. Everyone has this capacity. Everyone has this capability. And the only thing that's going to keep you from being able to do it is your mind. If you come to the table and say, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to channel 10 pages of information and it's going to be awesome, you might not get a single word. If you come and you're like, I'm so good at this, it's so amazing, here, let me show you, and you're trying to do something, nothing might come out. And so as we're exploring today, I want you to be here with a beginner's mind. I want you to be zero expectations other than to enjoy this experience. And just know to trust yourself. So what I'm going to teach you is a combination of what I do, what I've learned, and what I've noticed about other people who have also experienced this work with me. You may have an access point that's completely unique to you. Don't try to fit into a box. Allow this experience to flow through you in whatever way that it comes, and know that what you're doing and what you're experiencing is perfectly right for you. So although we are tapping into channeled writing as a practice, we may drop into this space and all of a sudden you're seeing visions, or you're hearing things, or your whole body lights up and you've got total spirit tingles. That's your connection, okay? And so whatever it is that comes up, just allow it to come up, be in the experience. And maybe that's what you start writing down. Okay, well, when it dropped into this connection point, I noticed that I felt a wave of energy down my back. Great. The more you practice, the more you might realize every time I invite this certain guide, I notice this wave of energy down my back. Maybe that's their energetic signature for me. Okay. So just know there's lots that could happen today. And I invite you just to be open to it. I'm also going to give plenty of space for questions. So if you have something that's coming up based on what I've talked about or haven't talked about, write it down in your journal. I'm going to come, like, I'll pause at certain points throughout this conversation and you can bring your question forward. But just so that we're not like going chat crazy and I get all distracted, please just write them down in your journal and we'll get to them when we get to them. What else do I have to tell you? Overview of today. We are going to go through how to set yourself up for a channeled writing practice. So I'm going to go through the preparation, the practice itself, how to open and close your container, and the like. We're actually going to practice. So I will give you time to do the preparation items. I will give you a chance to open up the container, step into the container, channel some information, close the container. And then of course, we're going to have time for questions and shares. So I think the beauty of the Q&A and the share section is because we all communicate with spirit differently. That allows us to hear how other people are receiving this information. What does it feel like to you? What do you hear things? Do you see things? Do you feel things that are different? And sometimes that might make you realize, oh, that's coming up for me too. So kind of having this shared experience. And then in full transparency, this is a beginner's introduction to channeled writing. If you enjoy this, if you want to learn more how to communicate with spirit, I have a 6-week program that is similar format to this, where it's live group program each week. And I'm going to share that at the end. So just know if this is something you're interested in, you're like, I want more of what she's dealing, there's an opportunity for that as well. Okay. So channeling. What is channeling? I'm guessing you all know because you're here, and why else would you be here? But then again, maybe not. Maybe you don't know what it is. In my opinion, channeling is accessing the unseen realm. It's connecting to something that is not physical, okay? And allowing yourself to receive that communication. And like I said, that may come through as writing. It may come through as visions. It may come through as feelings or sensations. You may smell things, you may taste things, you may just know things. All of this is intuition. All of this can be used to channel the guidance from the unseen realms. As I mentioned before, everyone can do it. So don't be afraid. We've all been taught not to trust ourselves. We've all been taught these things are scary. And so sometimes when we first step into this channeling realm, we experience discomfort. We experience conditioned fear. And so as you're exploring this, I just want you to realize if it starts to get sticky, if it starts to get crunchy, if it starts to get uncomfortable, just take a couple breaths. Just relax, breathe in, recenter yourselves. That's one of the practices that we'll do over and over again, is just coming back center, relaxing, relaxing, relaxing. The more you can open yourself up to receive, the more that you'll receive. If you're uptight and nervous and worried and scared and anxious, energy doesn't flow. It gets uptight, it gets restricted. So just relax, breathe, return to the breath. Another thing I want to invite is the fact that everyone has a filter through which they receive information. In the mind, it's called the reticular, I think it's activating system, the RAS, where it literally takes billions of parts of information per second and chooses 128 of those bits to actually give you to recognize. It's why when you drive to work and you're like, how the heck did I get here? You don't remember. Your intuition also has a filter. And when you first start working with it, your filter might be kind of clogged up. Your channel might be kind of clogged up. And we'll do a little cleaning of that channel. We'll do a little cleaning of the filter today. But just know that as you're starting to access this information, you might think, gosh, that sounds a lot like me. It does. It's your intuition. It's coming through you. The more that you practice, the more that you open, the more that you relax, the more that you'll start to receive information that might not sound as much like you. So just know that this is a practice. The first time you try to do a complicated yoga pose, it's probably not the prettiest thing in the world, but if you stay at it, you get more flexible, you get more strong. Intuition is the same thing. Also wanted to share that because when you look at other people who consider or considered intuitive, the only reason why they're seen as, experts or intuitives is because they've spent more time cleaning their filters. So when we first start out, you may have this practice where you get this information and you're like, either that doesn't make sense, that sounds too much like me, or I can't figure out if that's my brain or my intuition that's happening. But as you practice, you're going to start to notice where the information comes from, what the texture of a spirit, spirit wisdom versus your own wisdom. And you'll just start to clear that filter. You start to decondition the mind to let in more pieces of information. So just remember, as you're practicing, the more you do it, the cleaner the filter is going to get. Yeah, I want to tell you guys a little bit more about my story and how I got to be here doing this. As I mentioned, I started out super logical, super logical, accountant through and through, overanalyzer, overthinker, people pleaser, proving, all of these stereotypical things that happen when you grow up. And I was introduced to Julia Cameron's work, The Artist Way, if any of you are familiar. And she has this practice called the morning pages. And it's 3 pages of free writing. And I think she called it stream of consciousness, which when I was preparing for this conversation today, it struck me like stream of consciousness. You're right. It starts out almost as a stream of unconsciousness, this mind thought that gets emptied onto the page. And then as you do that, you start to feel your soul come through. And as your soul comes through, your writing shifts. And that's what I noticed when I started writing in the Artist Way. Morning pages, it was probably about 10 years ago, my journals were filled with anger, with rampage, just frustration, pissed off, sadness, grief, worry, doubt, all the emotions. And I would write and I would write and I would write. And there was very few days that I'd stopped at 3 pages because I had so much to say that I couldn't say in my life. So I said it to my journal. And there came this point in time where the stuff in my journal started to shift. And suddenly I began to notice that these words that were coming through me felt like they were coming through me. It was like words were just flowing through my pen, as opposed to me being like anger writing on the page. And I remember working with a shaman, and I went and talked to her and I was looking for guidance on something. And she's like, can I tune into your guides? And I said, freaking yes, please, I need answers. And she's like, your guides said that you've been channeling and you have all the answers that you need. And that moment was confusion and confirmation in a split second. There was a part of me that's like, I've been what? And also a part of me that was like, that's what that sensation is. That's what that feeling is when I write. And so of course I went home and I was like, frick yeah, I'm a channel. Like I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna channel some stuff. Nothing. And so I did my free writing. This sucks. I thought I was a channel. I can't get anything to come through. Next thing you know, I could feel that wave come back through me. I could feel my pen like soften and the words starting to come. And I was like, okay. It went like that for a long time. It was this process of thinking until my thoughts ran out. And then my soul would start to write. My heart would start to write. And I've developed a couple different ways now. I can sit down and write like that. Because I've practiced so much, I can have a back and forth conversation with spirit guides, with parts of myself. I'll show you guys a couple different ways that we'll do that, but just know that this process might start out a little choppy and a little clunky. So I just did Intuition Summer Camp, which was a 6-week intuitive development program. And we did this form of writing in the program. And somebody's like, I only get like a couple words. And when we start tapping into our intuition isn't this huge, magnificent storytellers. It speaks truth. And truth doesn't need story. It's truth. Like you don't have to advertise for nature. People just go there because they know it feels good. And so when I think about channeling and your intuition, it's the same thing. Your mind tells you stories. You should do this. You should wear that. You should probably eat that if you ever want to look like that. And if you want to fit in with those people, then well, then here's that whole list of things. That's the mind. The heart, the intuition, spirit says, be you. That's all it has to say, because that's enough. So just know, as we're exploring this today, if you have these questions and you get these very short, choppy responses, that's okay. If you find yourself like writing out this huge long story, I'm going to invite you to tune in, take a couple breaths, recenter yourself, and see, is that what's coming through, or is that my mind trying to put something on the page so I'm not in this uncomfortable space where nothing's happening? In fact, I want you to invite that space of pause. We're going to do that a couple different times tonight, just so that you can be in that space where the mind doesn't have to do anything. What you're doing is you're opening your heart to receive today. Okay, so just know that pauses are good. Closing your eyes, totally welcome. Taking extra breaths, highly encouraged. Knowing that if we get into breath space or channel space, and you write a question and you sit there and you just sit with the question the whole time, that's totally okay. The answers will come. They always come. And even if you get to the point where you write a question, nothing comes right away, I wouldn't be surprised if you turn on the radio and suddenly you hear the lyrics in a song that says exactly what you needed to hear, or you have a conversation with somebody that's like exactly the thing that you needed, or suddenly all the things line up and the thing that you've been waiting for just magically appears in your inbox. Even if it doesn't happen in this moment, it doesn't mean that it's not happening. Spirit always hears you, always hears you. I will tell you from my own experience, I've gone through my own fair share of, am I doing this right? Am I actually hearing spirit, or am I just making this up? Those are very normal thought patterns, very normal. Best thing that you can do, write them out. Okay, my mind is telling me, I don't know if I'm doing this right. The times that I've done that, I hear these words come through, the truth that comes through that says, you've got this. You're doing it exactly right. So just allowing yourself the grace, the patience, the experience of being present. It's funny, I didn't have this in my notes, but I had a channeled message I was writing to Spirit this morning, and I'm going to read that to you guys because I think you might like it. Well, and Spirit just told me to. So I asked Spirit, what do you want me to bring to the table tonight? Love, the response, love, grace, patience, and freedom. Trust. There will be people who fear they don't get it. This is the condition I'm speaking. Remind them to listen with their hearts and their bodies. And I asked, is there anything you'd like me to add to the agenda? And the response was yes. This pathway has not been walked by many in comparison to the number of humans who have had the opportunity to walk this path. And many have walked this path in secret or in their sleep. What you're doing here today is opening your eyes to see a path that has been waiting for you, a path that will always be there whether you're aware of it or not. Today you choose to walk this path with the eyes wide open. Tomorrow you get to decide again. Please know that no matter what choice you make, we are always with you, loving, guiding, and supporting you, especially when you choose to walk this path with your eyes closed. Okay? So this is what is possible, even for you, even today. And I want to pause. Are there any questions before I outline the practice? Any questions or thoughts or comments before we jump in? And I'm going to be completely honest, there's so many of you, I can't see all of you. So if you want to drop a note in the chat or use the reactions, raise your hand thing, that would be super helpful for me. Suzanne, is the mind the same as the ego? I think of the mind and ego as two separate things. I think the ego serves a certain purpose. that allows for safety, survival, and security. I think of the mind as a instrument of the body. So I think of the mind as something that we can use to be a servant for good or a really good distraction. Is channeled writing the same as automatic writing? I think of them as the same. I use channeled and automatic writing interchangeably. You're welcome. Any other questions? All right, so we are going to jump into how to channel, okay? We're gonna walk through a couple different stages, the preparation, how to open your container, how to set yourself up for success, how to receive, and how to close your container. Those are kind of your 4 steps, okay? In preparation, we're gonna go through the mind, the body, and the spirit. And actually, I'm gonna start with the body. So when you're sitting down to channel, it's best to be present. And so maybe you need to kind of like shake things out, shimmy your body, just kind of get present. If you've been at work all day and you're like stressed out, tightened up, like do a couple stretches, whatever you need to do. Heart openers are really good. But stretching the body, shaking the body, allowing your body to enter a state of relaxation is going to be really helpful. Hydration. If you're dehydrated, you might experience a little more challenge. So if you feel like some things aren't coming, maybe have a glass of water. If the body or the mind is distracted by a need for hydration, that might be a thing. If you drink a lot of caffeine, consume a lot of sugar, or eat a big meal in general, your body is going to be busy. It's going to be doing things that are going to be distracting to the intuition. So for example, when I first sat down to start channeling, if I would have a cup of coffee, I noticed the conversation required a lot more stillness. If I don't have a cup of coffee, if I have a glass of water and then just sit and channel, it just seems to like flow out of me. So just know if you sit down on a particular day and you're like, gosh, this feels really challenging. Okay, does my body need anything to be fully present and relaxed in this moment? From a mind perspective, and this is, we're going to practice this in a moment, but doing the mental purge. And maybe that is meditation, maybe that's a breath practice, or maybe it's doing like what I did, free writing. This freaking sucks. I had the worst day of my life, blah, 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 blah. I have to do this. This is my grocery list. I need to wash the dryer, blah, blah, blah. Whatever you need to get out, to imagine that mind, almost like watching the brain. You like pull the bathtub plug and it goes down the arm, out onto the bed until you're empty, okay? So imagine you're draining the bathtub of thoughts. If you are feeling emotionally activated, same thing, do a breath practice, do a mind practice, something to center yourself so that you can relax enough to open and receive, okay? So whether that is, writing about it, or just doing whatever soothing practices that you need. I find a lot of times, this is a random tangent, but I'm going to share it with you. It's really easy for me to channel when I'm in the shower and when I'm driving my car. When I'm in my shower, it's because it's just awesome and it just happens. When I'm driving my car, my brain is focused on my survival and my intuition will open just naturally. And so I'll be driving along and I have these like really brilliant ideas, going for long runs or long walks or long hikes, same thing. The more you can quiet the mind, the more the intuition gets louder. In regards to your spirit, we're going to do a couple little things in regards to like energetic hygiene, energetic practices, but just deciding who you want to communicate with and being in tune with who you are, centering in the heart. If you ever feel like, gosh, I don't know where to focus my energy, focus your energy in your heart is a really good spot. I think of the mind as like sending out the signals. The heart is what receives it. So centering in the heart is a great space to be. Let it be easy. Just let it be super easy. The more chill, relaxed you can make it, the better. And I will also bring forth the importance of grounding. So when you step into these channeling spaces, you're opening yourself up to higher frequency vibrations. And that's going to change things in your body. If you are not regularly introducing yourself to that level of energy, your body might get tired, your body might get uncomfortable. You might be in this channeled space and then like 12 pages later, you're like, what the heck, what day is it? Because I just lost all track of time. So just notice when you're just getting started, like, do I need to set a boundary on time? Do I need to set a boundary around, how many pages I'll do so that I don't burn myself out? The thing I don't want you to do is to get into this energy and just have it fry your system and never do it again because it was just too much at one time. Like, pace yourself. It's always there for you, even if you do a couple times throughout the day, as opposed to one long session in the morning. I find that to be a little bit more sustainable. In regards to your container, I am a huge fan of intention setting. I think it is one of your strongest superpowers. Whatever intentions you set are what come through. So before you open up your container, decide what your intention is. And we'll practice that today as well. Like I said, set any boundaries, whether that's on time, whether that's on who you connect with. So for example, for me, I only connect with beings that are of pure love and light. I have no interest in working with malevolent, it's not the word. I don't know, people who have ill intention. I have no interest in working with them. I'm down for healing and helping, but I just do not, that's my own personal boundary. I also use what is called a triple shield of protection, and that's just to allow my energy to be the dominant energy. I invite who I want in, and that's just a process that I use. So if you use light baths, if you use shields, if you use like grounding meditations where you imagine setting roots into the earth, we'll practice that in a little bit. Whatever feels right for you, explore it. But I definitely encourage you to use a grounding practice because we're earthly beings, we're humans, we're physical. And so in order to bring in this unseen energy, you need a place for it to land. And if you don't build your grounding practice, if you don't have this container for the information to land in, I mean, like imagine pouring water. If I don't have a container for it to go into, it's just going to go everywhere. So create a grounding container, a space for you and your body, so that when this higher vibrational energy comes in, it has a place to land. Am I going to call on that? As to who you can call in whoever you want to. For today, I primarily use the word spirit or source. I consider that like universal intelligence, God, goddess, creator. I think of all things as the same. You're welcome to use whatever language works for you. You can also communicate with your higher self. You can communicate with your inner child. You can communicate with your awakened heart. If you're familiar with parts work, you can do parts work. If you've ever done shadow work, you can actually communicate with your shadow, which is a really lovely experience. I do that quite often. Talk about finding ways to reintegrate your wholeness. You can also work with guides. So spirit guides, spirit animals, ancestors, ascended masters, archangels, dragons, unicorns, fairies, goddesses, whatever feels right for you. I will let you choose. Today is a choose your own adventure in regards to who you're channeling. I will say from my own experience, I find it easier to tap into universal intelligence than to channel a specific guide, just because when I think of specific guides, my head is, oh, I got to get just right. I want to make sure I'm getting that person. So if channeling a specific guide feels tight, constricting, maybe start with something that's a little easier. If you're super tuned into a certain guide, by all means, go for it, whatever feels right for you. And like I mentioned at the very beginning, make this a ritual. If you have a candle, maybe light your candle. Maybe that's part of your channeling experience. Maybe use essential oils. Before I opened up our container, I have a couple essential oils. I have one called Earth that I put on, ground myself, open up the container and step into it. If you have crystals, there's different crystals that support intuition, channeling. So, I know labradorite is one that is very helpful in this area. I've got a labradorite ring that I wear all the time. So look for things that are supportive, that feel good for you, and know that just because it happens one way one day doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. There are days where I'll set things up a certain way, have this amazing experience. That was that experience for that day. The next day I might be guided to do something totally different, and that's okay. Once you create your container, so set your intentions, set your boundaries, call in your guides, then you're going to open to receive information. I recommend when you're just getting started to write your questions in advance, because that allows your thinking brain to drop away as you allow your intuition to receive. If you have one question and then you get a download, and then you're like, oh, I need to think of another question, it just takes you a couple minutes when you're just getting started to drop back into that intuitive receiving. So if you can write down a couple questions before and then drop in, and if you're receiving all these downloads, all this information and all this, and you're like, oh, I want to know more about that, then just ask, I want to know more about that, and you'll get more. But I sometimes find when you're just getting started, that back and forth of, oh, I need to think of a question, now I need to receive intuitively. Sometimes that back and forth is a little wobbly. Couple ways to do those questions. 2 ways. I recommend first drawing a line down the middle of your page, write your questions on one side and allow the answers to come through on the other. Once you get a little bit more practice with that, sometimes I do 2 pens. So I'll have one ink color that's my words and one ink color that is what I'm receiving. So I know what's channeled and what's my questions. So you can try practicing with like 2 different writing utensils. The easier it gets, the more you practice, then you can just write with one and kind of, decide if you want to earmark what's channeled and what's not. But starting with kind of questions on one side of the page, or list them up at the top, number them, whatever feels right for you, sometimes it's really good practice. When you are receiving, focus more on what you're feeling than what you're thinking. You want to feel this way through your experience. So what that might mean is you might write a question and you might sit back, you breathe, and you're open to receive. I'm open to receive the wisdom. Okay, I'm finding myself thinking about this memory, and it might show up like that. Like I have this question about something and gosh, okay, my mind's bringing up this memory. Okay, well, I'm writing down, okay, this memory came up. Okay, drop back in. Same question. Oh, interesting. I'm noticing my body doing this, turning, or my body wants to kind of curl up. Okay, well, then maybe it's that. Or you might drop in and your hand's like, give me that pen, I need stuff to write. And your arm just might go on. You might hear things. I have that happen sometimes where I'll ask my question and then it's almost like I hear the words and I'm dictating or scribing the words that are coming through. So just know as you're exploring this, like give yourself the practice, the patience, the time, the space to sit back, close your eyes, take a couple breaths, and just notice what's coming up for you and write that down. And if you receive images or any other things other than, words, know that that's okay. Write that down. That might be clues that Spirit is giving you to decipher or to discern. After you receive, it's important to close your container. So you thank your guide or your guides or whoever you connected with. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And it can be as simply as this channel is now closed. Close your journal, close your hands, whatever that might look like. This is the way to kind of seal up the container and say, I'm not available for anything or anyone to connect to me at any point in time unless it's by my choice. There's a little bit of energetic self-sovereignty. So while your channel is open, this is who I'm allowing in. And then don't, well, I guess you get to choose if you want to experience that. It might be a wild experience. You don't have to go walk through the world with a channel wide open. Choosing my channel is now closed. What else do you need to know? I feel like there's something else, but maybe it's a question. I'm going to pause there for a second. Any questions? If you guys want to drop it in the chat or use the hand raise on the reactions. I feel like I said a lot. You guys still hanging in there? Then I see, should we be? I don't know what that means. That's up to you. The question was, should we be wearing black tourmaline or black obsidian? Those are great protection crystals. If that makes you feel good, you are welcome to. I believe that as you continue practicing your energetic self-sovereignty, just your intention enough is to keep you clean and clear. You are in a body, which means you have greater power and density over anything else in the unseen realm. So when it comes to any fears of bad spirits or ill-intentioned things happening, you get to decide, I don't have time for this. This is not okay. Get out of my space. I had guides who were showing up. Well, actually I told my shaman, I was like, yeah, I keep getting woken up at like 3:30. What's that all about? And she's like, oh, it might be a guide coming to speak with you, connect to you, because it's easier during that time of day. And she's like, you are allowed to tell them now is not the time. I have office hours at 9 a.m. You can come back then. And I was like, what? You can just tell them to go away and like come back later? And she's like, yeah, that's your choice. So part of this practice is you get to decide who doesn't have access to you and who does. And so even if you practice just saying, I'm not available for this right now. I'm not available for spiritual connection right now. Or I am available for spiritual connection right now. And I choose to connect with blah, blah, blah. You get to decide. And voicing that is best. You can write it. You can do it through the mind. Spirit doesn't need language. So connecting with them through the mind is fine as well. Let's see. Couple comments here. Love this so much. Can't wait to connect with the unseen realm through these practices. So you have the tourmaline and the obsidian. Also have a heart-shaped labradorite. You have and wear these stones. Sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis, that's the start of astral travel. I'm a little reluctant to buy anything in. So stay in a space that feels comfortable for you. You get to decide. And maybe what you do today is connect with your higher self. Your higher self is just the spirit version of you. And maybe that's a safe and secure connection to start with. You definitely don't have to push beyond your comfort zone. In fact, I encourage you just when you're starting to play in the kiddie pool. We're all there. We're hanging out there. It's great. It's gonna be tons of fun. But we got floaties and all kinds of cool things. So don't worry if it feels a little bit scary. Just stay in a space that feels right for you. Stay in a space that feels expansive. If the crystals feel supportive, use them. And you can always step out of the channeling space whenever that feels right for you. All right. Yes, you are so welcome, Suzanne. So grab your journals. And let's start with, we're gonna do, this actually goes faster than most people think it does. We're gonna do 5 minutes, mental purge, body prep, okay? So if you need to stretch, if you need to shake, if you need to dance, if you need to breathe, whatever feels right for you, getting the body moving, getting comfortable. I'm going to start my timer so I don't forget. Oops. And for the next 5 minutes, you're going to do whatever you need to get your body comfortable, body back centered, grab a glass of water if you need to, and free write. So any thoughts, drip them onto the page. This is also going to help you warm up your writing skills. So just starting to write, allowing yourself to write whatever comes to mind, letting go of anything that needs to be let go, taking care of any little things that need to be taken care of so that we can be fully present after these 5 minutes. If you have any questions, you're welcome to drop them in the chat, and I'll address them in the chat while we're doing this little purge. Got about 1 minute left. If you need a bio break, now would be a good time. Start to wrap up any thoughts, any last little wiggles. The next thing I want you to do is I'm going to give you about a minute. Write down, what is your intention? What is your intention? About 15 seconds left. And next, I'm going to have you decide, who are you calling upon? So who are you going to channel? And what are you going to ask them? And we're going to drop into channel space for about 15 minutes. So you're welcome to probably write 3 to 5 questions. If you have more, you're welcome to ask more, but that's probably a good starting spot. So who are you calling upon and what are you going to ask them? I'll give you about 2 minutes. Have about 30 seconds more. All right. So before we open up the channel, you just take a moment, take a nice deep inhale, exhale with a sigh. Feel yourself wiggling back into your body. Let your eyes drift closed. I want you to follow the next inhale into your body and allow your awareness to rest gently on the soft pillow of your heart. I want you just to let your awareness rest on this pillow, floating up and down with each inhale and each exhale. allowing yourself to be fully present in the moment that is now. Allowing each breath to remind you that you are worthy and you are enough. You were born to communicate and connect with the wisdom that you seek. Imagining that you are grounded, feeling as though you are held by whatever chair, bed, or surface that you're sitting on. No need to do anything, no need to prove anything. Just here to be. Now I want you to imagine there is a flower on the top of your head. And I want you to imagine that the sun is coming down through the ceiling above you. And as it does, that flower is opening. And as it does, you can feel the sunlight pass through the center of the flower and begin to drip like sweet honey down your spinal column. Allowing yourself to feel the frequency and energy of this light, of this vibration, as it reminds you who you truly are. And that light gets all the way down to the base of your spine. Imagine that it begins to pool and fill every inch of your body. Feeling yourself supported by the earth below you and filled with the divine light of truth. It is with an awakened heart and peace of mind that we enter this space of channeled writing. We thank our guides and teachers for holding our energy safe and separate, present and grounded, allowing us to receive the information that is of our highest good with ease and with grace. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Take a nice inhale together. And to exhale, letting your eyes open when you feel ready. If you would like, you can say out loud or write in your journal, "Dear Spirit," or "I call upon Source," or "Thank you, Higher Self, for being here to answer these questions." And I'm going to give you guys about 15 minutes to be in this space of receiving. So there's no doing that needs to happen here. Allow yourself to sit back, close your eyes, breathe and receive as often as you need to. And what you're going to do is you're just going to say, "I call upon Source. Here's my question," and see what information comes forth. If you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling like you need help, let me know in the chat. I will try to keep the group quiet and respond in chat. But if you need me, I am here. So 15 minutes to be in channel space. If you need me, hit me up in the chat. We have about 1 minute left. So in that time, I want you to also write into your journal or express to whoever you called in your gratitude and thanks for the information that was shared. All right, starting to wrap that up. Those weren't words. So I always end with gratitude. So you can, I guess the way that I look at it is when we step into this space, we do a lot of asking. And I think it's only fair for us to also offer. And so perhaps you have an altar, or perhaps you have another offering that you want to offer to in exchange for the information that you receive, but also gratitude is more than sufficient. So allowing yourself to say, thank you for this information, thank you for this space, thank you for this blessing, thank you for this healing. Any of that is great. Can you guys all hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. You're good? Okay. So offering some sort of gratitude or thanks, or just knowing, like, as you're moving through your life, if you have your guides with you, if you're always working in service to spirit or in coordination with spirit, like thinking about how can you give back? And if that's a thank you, that's plenty. And also if you set up something or offer something, it can be a number of things. If you have, I'm going to say the witchy traditions, you know, doing altars, doing tobacco, doing cornmeal, that's great. I do feathers, so I find feathers and then I also give them back to the earth or to the trees. But just as a way of, this can be a cycle of exchange with the communication and the channeling that you're doing. And then, as I said before, it's important to close the channel. So the way that I do that is I say, this channel is now closed. Go if you must, stay if you will. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the love, guidance, and blessings. As you experienced, I do an invocation. I call in, I kind of set my intentions and my parameters. And at the end, I say thank you and I close my channel. You are welcome to use the words that I use or find the ones that feel right for you. My words change based on where I'm at and who I'm being that day. So certainly explore that. The simpler, the better. You could literally say, I'm calling in my higher self. This channel is now open. Here are my questions. Blah, 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 blah. Thank you. This channel is now closed. Totally sufficient. If you love words, if you love ritual, maybe you light a candle, you turn on the lights, you put an offering on your altar, you open the space. It's whatever's right for you. So play with that. We have about 10 minutes. I want to open it up to see if there are any questions or if anyone would like to share. If you would like to come off mute, how about let's do in the reactions thing, the reactions button at the bottom. There's one that says raise hand. If you do that, I will let you in. You can chat, you can share. If you want to drop it into the chat, and we can read from there, that is great as well. Suzanne, my website is my name, tiffanymarlink.com. Katie said, I loved that, exactly what I needed, thank you. Yeah, Megan.
Wonderful, thank you, Tiffany, so much. I have a question for you. Have you had the experience, and if so, what have you done when it feels like it's coming in so fast and your little hand can't write fast enough?
Yes, you can ask them to slow down. Very important. But if you're writing and you're like, right, and you're like, oh my gosh, my hand's not conditioned for this, like I need to start doing little weightlifting exercises. The other thing I recommend is do voice memos, do voice recordings. If you open up a Google Doc, Google has text, voice to text, I think it is. And you can do translate that way. So if it gets to be like, I'm just in this field and I'm kind of loving it, that's one way to practice for sure. But yeah, you get to decide how fast, how slow. If it feels like it's coming on too fast, just be like, hey, yo, pump the brakes. I'm still human.
Cool, thank you so much. And I just want to reiterate, I love how you've brought in what you called it, energetic self-sovereignty. I really appreciated that choice that you're presenting. So thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know if this changes for you guys, like if I add the pin, it puts it in the speaker view or not. So bear with me on the technology. Suzanne, yes, the recording will go out to everyone. It will come through Eventbrite. So look for it on Eventbrite. I will send that later tonight, depending on how long it takes for the video processing to finish. Olivia Joy, what are the best questions to ask when just starting out? Questions that feel like they are low risk. So you might start out by asking your higher self, what foods would be good to my body today? And notice if you have any cravings, or notice if you have any images, or notice if you have any, the words like your body wants salad. The other thing that I would explore is, like, I dropped one in the chat about what am I ready to remember? Or what would be helpful for my growth and development? What's another one? What is ready to be healed? What part of me needs more love? This is my mind thinking. What is my path? Great, Susan, yeah. I will also say I always include journal prompts in my Monday emails. There's at least one, sometimes there's up to 3. So if you are looking for more journal prompts, or divine assignments is what I call them, add yourself to my free email subscription. Every Monday you'll get a little channeled message and affirmations and journal prompts that would be good to explore. Yeah, Suzanne, am I following my purpose or my life contract? Yeah, cool. Any other questions? Does anyone have an experience they'd like to share? That Galka, I think I see a hand raised there. Yeah.
Yes, I'm Catherine.
Hi, Catherine.
Or Kit. Kit's my nickname. It's so weird having 2 names, but I ask just general stuff like, what would you like me to know? Or do you have any encouragement for me right now? Because I guess that's what I want, but I just wanted to share that I never see anything usually. I'm mostly clairsentience or audience, and I asked for my joy guide. I found out who my joy guide was this year. And so I asked her to come in, and I saw, I saw a lot of stuff with my little eyes closed. I saw like a black shield, and then a little light, and then a gold light that came through, and I had 3 little touches up on my left top of my head. And I just saw a little wolf face and a lion's eye. And everything was just gentle and kind and sweet. And it was very loving. I had really good experience.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Yep.
Any other shares or questions? All right. So that is the end of the workshop, but I will say that is not the end of channeling. So have you ever been to a conference and you go and it's all like, yay, rah, rah, rah. And then you go home and nothing changes because we're humans and we have habits and we rely on those habits. And so what I want to invite you to do is think about what is the easiest way to integrate this into your day. Like, is there 30 seconds that you can fold this in? Actually, 30 seconds probably isn't enough. I'm not going to set up unrealistic expectations. You have like 5 minutes where you can drop into this space, where you can do a couple breath practices and ask a question. Even if you only ask one question a day, it's going to build that muscle. And doing even one question a day over time is going to help you build up that intuition to the point that you can drop in at any point and drop in and out of that space whenever you choose. So I encourage you to think about how you'd like to integrate this into your daily life, how to do this into your practice as well. So for any of you who are like, this was awesome and I want more of what she's serving, I am doing a 6-week program called Communicate with Spirit. And it is going to be just like this, but even deeper. So they're going to be interactive, actually less of me talking and more of you experiencing and sharing. All about communicating with spirit. We're going to do how to set up your energetic containers, something that I did for us today. The invocation, I'll teach you how to create your own custom invocation so you'll have your own magic that you can create. We're going to do how to speak with guides. So we had the example of somebody who invited in their joy guide, and she got to see these images, feel these sensations. I'll teach you how to connect with those guides, learn what their names are, learn how they want to work with you, how to do offerings and exchanges, that types of thing. We're also going to do signs, symbols, and messages. So if you're like noticing all the license plates that have triple numbers on them, we'll figure out what that triple number means for you. You can definitely go and Google it, but as I will tell you, and as you will experience as you begin to practice more of your own self-sovereignty, that you get to decide this level of communication. And what means 333 to one person could mean something completely different to another person, or the way an animal guide or an archangel shows up for one person could be different from a different person, because we're all here to have unique life experiences. So we're going to dive into some of those signs, symbols, and messages and how to discern them. We're also going to do a little practice in oracle and tarot card readings. So if you've ever wanted to be able to know how to do readings for yourself or for others, this is going to be kind of a basics level introduction, but it's going to teach you how to read the cards and not the guidebook. So it's a little bit different in that you're going to use your intuition and your natural abilities to be able to do the readings instead of just relying on your guidebook. And then the last 2 weeks are just intuitive readings. So a chance for us to either drop into a channel space in a small group, practice card readings, or doing some visioning and that sort of thing on an individual level so that you can get feedback on the information that you're receiving for other people. We did that in the last session, Intuition Summer Camp, and it was really fun. So that is the program. Registration is open right now. I'll drop a link in the chat box in just a second. We actually start not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after, same time as tonight, 5:30 to 7 for the 6 weeks. So August 18 through September 22, 6 weeks. What else do you need to know? The investment is $333. You can do one payment or you can do 3 payments. My dear friend Megan here reminded me that it is just unfair to penalize people who need a payment plan. So you pay the same amount no matter which plan you pick. I think that's it. I will. Here is the link if you want to read the details. If you sign up before end of day tomorrow, you get a decision maker bonus. So thank you for making a decision, which is a free 1-hour session with me, Unlock Your Magic. That can be intuitive development, intuitive support, life coaching, whatever spiritual gift development that you would like. You'll see on my website the stuff that I do. So if you decide to sign up in the next 24, 48 hours, you also get bonus time with me. So that is what I have. Let's see if there's any other comments here. Sabrina, that was really powerful. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and knowledge. Is there any way we can donate if we're not ready to commit to your course? This is my gift. What I would appreciate is if you help spread the word. I guess there's a part of me that says open to receive. I'm going to say if you would like to donate, my PayPal is my name and my Venmo is my name. So at Tiffany Marlink, and I will welcome your contribution. Thank you. Suzanne, Tiffany, thank you. This is great guidance in creating a structure to begin this practice. Thanks for sharing your energy, positive thoughts with everyone. This is wonderful. Awesome. I am not on Twitter. That was one thing I never got into. I'm on Instagram most. Email the most because I like to write. Awesome. Everyone, thank you so much for being here today. The recording will go out. I'm trying to figure out if this is going to live on YouTube or like in a private thing on YouTube or on my website. But will be available for you so you can watch it back as often as you would like. Take notes, grab the invocations, whatever you need. If you have questions on what we experienced today, or you want to share something that blew your mind, but you didn't want to say it in front of the group, please email me. I would love to hear from you. This was awesome. So much fun. Hope to see you guys all again super soon. Good night.